Alright, welcome back, guys. This is Easy Nation. Thanks for coming. Today's video is going to be about iPhone 14 leaks and rumors. It's a pretty interesting one. I can't wait for y'all to see it. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the display, or what it's going to look like. So apparently this year we're going to be getting a Pro version and then the normal version, but we're also going to be getting a Max of the normal version, which will still have 2 cameras, and it will be dropping the mini lineup because Apple didn't sell a bunch of the minis, which is kind of sad because the mini actually was, like, it was a good phone for a small phone, packed a lot of power, and they put it in a small device. Now, probably the main reason why it didn't do so well is because of battery life. And Apple did increase it, like, by 30%, was it, this year with the iPhone 13 mini? So, anyway, we're going to be getting, for how the display is going to look, thinner bezels. The Pro models are going to be getting that weird pill-shaped design. Like, we're going to be getting like this weird pill cutout with, and then it's just gonna have a front camera module in it. And then for the non-Pro models, we're still gonna be getting that notch. Let's see. All right, so for like the display fastness of how snappy you want your display to be, for the Pro models, we're expected to be getting a 120 Hertz ProMotion, so same as the iPhone 13 Pro lineup. And then for just the 14s, the 14 and the 14 Max, it's just going to go down to 60 Hertz. So it's pretty normal for Apple to put their Pro Motion in their Pro devices. Sounds like something Apple would do because it's Pro and Pro. Anyway, so I hope to see an always-on display, and I think we're going to get one. And always-on display is basically where it drops the display refresh to 1 Hertz. And it just keeps your display on, but it doesn't use like a ton of battery. And with like the Apple Watch S5 got an always-on display, and ever since then we still had an always-on display on the Apple Watches. So I'm pretty excited to see that, and I hope I can see the always-on display come pretty soon. So for the display size, so for the regular iPhone 14, we're expected to be getting a 6.1-inch display. iPhone 14 Max is going to be getting a 6.7-inch display. The iPhone 14 Pro is going to be a 6.1-inch display, but it's going to have 3 cameras. And it's also going to have that ProMotion. And then the iPhone 14 Pro Max is going to be getting that 6.7-inch display. So same thing as the Max, just it's going to have 3 cameras instead of 2. Alright, so for the cameras, the Pro models are expected to be getting a pretty big upgrade, about a 48 megapixel sensor and a 3 times optical zoom. So that's 1 time bigger. So the iPhone 13 Pro had a 2x optical zoom. So this time we'll be getting a 3x optical zoom. For the non-Pro models, like for the iPhone 13, we're expected, or for the iPhone 14, for the iPhone 14 camera, just for that, we're expected to be getting the iPhone 13 Pro sensor. And the reason why I think about this is because with the iPhone 12 Pro, the iPhone 13 gained the 12 Pro sensor, and then the 13 Pro got its own upgrade. So that sounds like a pretty good step up, but we're still not going to be getting a ton of upgrades for the 14 lineup, and the reason why is this right here. Now for the 14 Pros, we're going to be getting more upgrades than the 14, but I'll tell you why in a little bit. Now for the battery, we haven't really heard much about the battery. All we know is that the battery is probably going to be improving a lot more from the last phone, and so that's all we've heard of for the battery. We haven't really heard a lot of news about what the battery is going to be. But we know that the battery is going to get bigger and we're going to have a better battery life. Now, if you want the best battery life in the iPhone lineup, get the Pro Max model. The Pro Max packs the largest battery of all the other iPhones. Next, we're going to talk about the chipset. So, the iPhone 14 is expected to be getting the A16 rebranded. So it's really just the A15, but they rebranded it with the A16. We've seen this before. Apple did it with the Apple Watch ever since the S6. The S6 got rebranded to the S7, but it's just the same chip. So yeah, with the iPhone 14, we're expected to be getting the A15, but it just got rebranded to the A16. Now, with the iPhone 14, we're going to be expected to have one more GPU core. So instead of 4 GPU cores, it's going to have 5. So just like the 13 Pro models, it's basically just going to be an iPhone 14, or it's basically just going to be the iPhone 13 Pro, just with 2 cameras and no ProMotion and none of that. However, we're not going to see a slight bump up with the Pro models, but we are going to see the real A16 inside of the iPhone 14 Pro. And the reason why is just, I guess it's just because it's the Pro model. But yeah, we're expected to be seeing a little bump in the real A16 inside the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. So it's really just Apple tricking everyone, and it's just a little rebrand, you know. Next, we're going to talk about, or I actually got a fun fact. So let's get to the fun fact. So the fun fact is that Apple, they actually did do this one time. And it was with the Apple Watch, but there was another time, and it was in an iPhone. So with the iPhone like 2G and 3G, Apple just put the same processor inside the 2G and 3G, but they rebranded it. So that's your fun fact for the day. It's a good fun fact. I hope you liked that fun fact. I hope to do more fun facts because that was kind of neat. Anyway, let's get to the next segment. The real question I think a lot of people are going to ask is, should you upgrade? And I got a reason for that. If you have an iPhone 13, you shouldn't upgrade. It's not a big step up, as you heard me talk about the chipset. If you have an iPhone 12 and you just want ProMotion and a bigger camera lens, then sure, go for the Pro model. But if you have an iPhone 12, I wouldn't upgrade unless you really want like a tiny spec bump, and a tiny lens change. Now, if you have an iPhone 11 or older, I would upgrade because you'll get 5G. You will, if you get a Pro model, get ProMotion, and hey, maybe always on display. You'll get better RAM, better speed, better battery. So there is a reason to upgrade, but if you have like an iPhone 12 or 13, there isn't a big reason to upgrade unless you want some features that just aren't available, such as if you want ProMotion, that's a really good reason to upgrade. If you want a bigger camera with better footage, then get a Pro model. So there's a lot of good reasons to upgrade, but just take that with a grain of salt. Definitely don't upgrade if you have a 13. I don't think it's that big of a change to upgrade from a 13 to a 14. It's not that big. Especially if you have a 13 and you don't have a Pro model. Especially if you just have a 13. Don't go straight to the 14. It's not big. It's basically a 15 just with one GPU core. So yeah, that's my little thing on should you upgrade. Alright, so this segment we're going to talk about the storage and the pricing. So the storage starts at, for the 14 models, will start at 128 and they'll probably go up to 512 gigabytes. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it went up to a terabyte, but I think they're only going to save that for the Pro models. The other for the iPhone 14 Pro, we're expected to see 128 to a terabyte. Now, we might see a 256, like it might start at 256 and go to a terabyte. But I just don't know how I feel about that terabyte iPhone. I think it's a good idea, and especially with cinematic mode, I guess it makes more sense. With cinematic mode, the fact that you can have a terabyte of storage to film 4K 60 and 120 slow-mo. Anyway, let's talk about the pricing. So, the iPhone 14 is going to probably start at $800. The iPhone 14 Max is going to start out at $900. The iPhone 14 Pro is going to start out at $1,100. And the iPhone 14 Pro Max is going to start out at $1,200. So, it's basically going to be the same pricing as this year, but instead of the mini model being $100 less, they're dropping the mini model, and the max model is going to be $100 more. So instead of $800, it's going to be, or instead of like it being, since the iPhone 14 is $800, instead of it being $700, it's going to be $900 for the max. Anyway, like, subscribe, share. Y'all know what to do. And if you didn't like the video, tell me something in the comments that could make the video better, and we can improve upon it. But yeah, hope to see y'all again soon. Can't wait to do another video. And yeah, guess I'm all get out of here. Peace.